This is Tyler reporting for Why Not News here on Main Street, Bristol.
Participated in the 4th of July parade, for several years. Actually, Addison Peace Coalition, and we're a part of that. But it's all the folks from the other, Middlebury, Cornwall, all that whole area, whoever. And what we did is we don't carry signs like this. We just have branches with the peace crane. That's Sadaka. Remember that whole story, that. And that's all. And then we had a drummer on the side, just drumming. So it was, and we were all in white. And it was really pretty. People thought it was pretty impressive. And I think that it was good. I felt good about it. But now, I don't know if I can just do that. I feel, and I wrote to the group, are we going to do it or not? And if so, what do you think and feel about how? And I just feel, I think we need to be a little more proactive now. And I think, I would carry this sign. People don't, like Darlene said, we'll make peace. Well, that's good. But when you do that, I don't think people get it sometimes. What the opposite is, or what's going on, the issues, So my feeling is that it would be good. My goodness, look at her, she's walking all over the place. Yeah, she's big now. Big. So.
I agree with you on, I think that my interpretation is that peace is a result of justice. Peace comes when people's needs are met.
You have to be justice, right.
So by finding justice, such as funding our veterans and not war, and such as bringing our troops home, and by shocking people out of their complacency, I think perhaps then we can work towards justice. But I agree with you that perhaps it's a little too passive to just say peace rather than explaining alternatives.
Right. That's what I think. And of course, I do believe that even when there's justice, there can still be a lack of peace. I think that peace really starts in each person's heart. And you could have justice, but you could still, people need to be peaceful and find that peace, which I think everybody has. But we just have to connect with it and find it. Watch your back.
So,
we're not getting the help that our soldiers need when they're coming home very emotionally disturbed. When they say that 40% have said that they are emotionally disturbed, you can figure that it's probably closer to 80, because there's another 40 that won't admit to it.
they won't admit it.
How could you not be?
How could you?
How could you not be?
Seeing children blown up and not knowing who your enemy was?
Well, it's horrendous. We were talking about, it's just, there are no winners in a war. No way.
No victory.
Everybody's a loser.
So will you tell me a little bit about this gathering and how long that it's...
This gathering started actually before the war started. We just sort of said we have to do something and decided to come out here and be here. Be on this corner.
I'm going to have to, after this discussion, I'm going to have to go to the other side.
She's going to get another sign after our discussion.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Inspired her.
There you go. So we've been, okay, so we did it from before the war, and then when it was, in quotes, mission accomplished, it was kind of confusing, and we weren't sure what to do. It was, of course, there was a lot at that time, people were not appreciating us being here at all. Many people, some were, some. So it was hard, and we thought, well, maybe we should just sort of look at this and perhaps see how we should use our energy. Not disappear, but how are we going to reframe this? And we did that for a while. We didn't come up with anything really good to do, and so then when we saw what was going on, of course, then we decided to come right back, and we started back. And then there was a group that were counter-protesting. They were across the street, and that was very difficult. And that went on for some months, right, the folks across the street?
Yes, it did.
And But then when it got really cold, they kind of left. But my hope would be that maybe some of them saw really what was going on. They thought we were not supporting the troops, and I kept saying to them when I could speak with them, like, just let's sit around and talk about, let's learn who we are and what our thoughts are and try to understand, But it wasn't to be, apparently, they just didn't. They thought we were unpatriotic, the typical stuff of that.
Thinking supporting the troops means supporting the war.
Yeah, right.
Unfortunate way to think.
So then they left, right? And we've just been here every Friday through
I took a petition.
freezing and snow and ice and storms, and somehow or other we're committed to this. Well, what is it? What are we doing? Well, it's kind of interesting because right now there are a lot more people who are positive about us being here, a lot more who are thinking at least we're raising the question, perhaps. Did you want to say a lot more?
I don't know. I was involved fairly early on when we were trying to get the petitions into the town meetings, saying that our veterans would not get to check into the care that our veterans would get when they came home and, whether available. And I was shouted down at the town meeting. We did not, we had a new moderator who wasn't sure how to do things, and it was shouted down, and I finally gave up. But everything that was in that petition has happened.
Yeah.
Getting the care they need. There's no transportation to get them to veterans hospitals in Vermont. Of course, other states too, but we were talking about Vermont in particular. And more people that were very pro-war have now changed their minds into this without understanding anything about the character of Iraq or the policies or the people. I mean, we don't understand that culture at all.
No. And then Iran, of course, that whole threat, which is, I can't even stand it. The people, all these people. I wrote to Lieberman, and I said, how could you do this to these people? How could you possibly say,
Thank you,
that we should be, bombing them or sanctions or anything? The people suffer. I mean, we know what the sanctions in Iraq did.
500,000 children under the age of 10
Right.
died to
Outrageous.
preventable, easily preventable
How can young men
diseases.
and women come home after they've seen those children blown apart on the streets and be normal? How can they? It's impossible.
Right. Well, the thing too is, Darlene, as you said about the
How are
the town
you? Well, I'm
meeting.
pretty good. My husband said,
town
I
meeting
don't
that we
worry
did
about
get it
myself every
passed
night
here.
you
We
go.
got impeachment passed
I
and bring the
missed
troops
you.
home.
And I was
So
gonna
that
ask,
there are a lot of good things in Vermont. And I keep thinking, people say, oh, the impeachment will never happen.
terrible?
And I said,
I was going to
I
ask
don't
her
know what's
last
going to
week.
happen,
What
but you have
happened
to do
you,
what's
you know,
right.
if you
Well,
were sick.
these guys down
My
there took
husband
that
was
oath
quite
of
ill,
office to
and
I would
I
uphold the
worked a lot of
Constitution.
care,
And we said this to Peter Welsh, and there were people at the meetings that were very articulate and knew what they were talking about. It's like, oh, it'll stop the end of the war. Yeah, but you're not getting to end the war. If you were doing that, okay, but you're not. And so that is, I think that's such a big thing. It's
But he felt it was important enough. He said, "You got it tonight. I'll get dinner when you get back."
so the whole impeachment thing is now the petition is going on, and I have one now. Have you signed it?
I haven't.
Okay, I have
The
it.
latest I
I'll
haven't.
get it out, and this will be going to Peter Welsh. Jimmy Lease is kind of organizing it. Do you know him? He's an attorney in South Burlington. He's been working a lot on this. Very good, strong, and so I think he has like 500, and I've got another 100. So just saying, and I'm sure other people do. So
And our gathering on the 23rd, we might be able to get a lot of
yeah,
signatures.
that's right. That's right. Definitely.
So, do you have any ideas of what the next steps are for us in the peace movement?
No, I don't. No, I have no idea. No, but I'm beginning to think that we've got to do more.